Hi, and welcome to the second episode of Mixology Unmasked. Today we're going to be combining ethyl alcohol, acetic acid, and sucrose to make delicious cocktails, which means we're going to be putting vinegar into booze. Thank you everyone for joining me again. This is episode 2 of Mixology Unmasked. We're going to be using drinking vinegars today, otherwise known in the cocktail world as shrubs. We are going to be using white wine vinegar that you can find in any grocery store. I got mine from Hy-Vee. It's a Midwest thing. I will be using frozen fruit instead of fresh fruit. I think that in this situation, when we're just going to be infusing it into vinegar and then cutting it with sugar, I don't want to spend $16 on 12 ounces of blueberries, and neither should you. So, spend money on your frozen fruit. That's all I ask. Get a good brand. Don't buy 99-cent cherries or blueberries. Shrubs are from pretty much the beginning of American history, as the American colonists sent wine over from Europe because they couldn't get their grapes to grow on American soil or on American climate. A majority of the wine that was sent over had turned into vinegar by the time it reached our shores. So our American ancestors were left with barrels and barrels of undrinkable vinegary mess. So they found out that they could take the wild fruits and berries of the American wild, combined it with some sugar from the Caribbean, and voila, they had a pretty good drink. And if you just mix that in with some moonshine or just whatever you can make, you got yourself a pretty good cocktail. It kind of disappeared for a long time, and then all of a sudden in the last 2 years it's gotten really popular. So we're gonna embrace it, and I love it. I think it adds a great acidity to cocktails. I think it is a really easy way to just add brightness and great flavor. So we're gonna be making those today. So yeah, let's get started. All right, we're back at our stove. We've added our champagne vinegar, white wine vinegar. I usually recommend those two. And then I've added our fruit. We've brought it to a boil. We've cooked it for about 3 minutes. And now we're going to turn the heat off and we're going to allow this to cool to room temperature. We've got them in our jars. You're going to want to set these for about 3 or 4 days. Don't worry about refrigerating them. The vinegar is going to act like a natural preservant. These will not go bad. They are very resistant to a lot of the bacteria that we are worried about in normal foods, but vinegar is susceptible to its own completely different range of bacteria. So do make sure that you wash out your whatever vessel you're going to be putting these in before you add your vinegar and fruit to them, just to be safe. So we're going to let these sit for about 3 to 4 days, and then we'll come back and strain them and add the sugar, and then we'll go over some cocktails too. Alright, welcome back. So, it's been 4 days. We've been shaking these every day. They look wonderful. Good dark color on these. So what we gotta do is we gotta get the fruit out of there. We're gonna strain it through, and then we are going to add the sugar, and then we'll be done. Then you'll have a beautiful, delicious shrub. So really the best way to do this is just first to go through a colander and then through a fine strainer. Alright, now we've got the fruit out, we want to add our sugar. Remember, we're adding equal parts of all of our ingredients. So 1.5 cups of sugar goes into our 12 ounces of vinegar. Once you've got a pretty good mix going on, you want to get your lid back on nice and tight, and then kind of dump it over and give it a good shake, opening up the lid every once in a while to let the gas out. As you dissolve sugar into liquid, you're going to let off a little bit of carbon dioxide, so you don't want to get too much of that built up, because then it'll blow your lid off and make a mess. Alright, now we're not going to heat this to dissolve the sugar like we did in the first episode making our simple syrup. Mostly because we don't want to break down the sucrose, the table sugar. We want it to be a little bit bigger. These shrub syrups are going to add a little depth. They're going to add a little weight to the cocktail. So we're going to leave them just how they are. You can just strain these into your, keep a one bottle that has a nice pour spout on it. So you easily make cocktails. And the rest is going to just go in nice mason jars. These look perfect. Alright, there we have it. You will have a nice base of spirits, or I'm sorry, syrups to put with your spirits at your home bar. So we've got our simple syrup from last week. We have our 2 shrubs from this week. And that's pretty much it. Now, we're going to be doing some fun cocktails with these shrubs. I'll post videos on the page. For the cherry, we're going to be making something called a Central Park. It's pretty much a take on a Manhattan with the cherry shrub. And then with the blueberry, I love it so much. We're going to do a blueberry mojito with that one. So, yeah, check out the page for those recipe videos. And thank you so much for watching.